we like to end the interviews with a rapid fire section. So I just blast through questions. You answer as quickly as possible, and we'll tie this up with a nice bow. Is that okay?
Yes, it sounds good. And Archie's
And
still,
and
he's
we
been in
got
my lap the whole
the
time.
whole time. We
Yeah.
couldn't even see him. I didn't. That might be the quietest dog ever, especially as a puppy. So,
Yes, he's a good boy.
all right, rapid fire questions. What are the things outside of music that bring you joy?
My daughter. Um, the world, the phenomenal world, ordinary magic of like nature and stars and outside of music though, because
Music is everything. Yeah.
music is a big one. Um, yeah, I think just other helping other people and seeing other people thrive too.
What is your craziest, sweetest, funniest, or most memorable fan interaction over the years?
God, there's so many sweet ones. I mean, there are people who say, I was on the verge of taking my life and I listened to Beautiful and it got me through. Or, I was the only gay kid in school and, your song got me through high school. Um, and then, there's the girls who would like ask me to sign their boobs, things like that.
That's memorable.
Yeah.
If you had your dream pick of musicians to form a super group, who would you pick? So we would say you're on vocals, pick a drummer, guitarist, bass player.
Oh my God.
Good luck.
Oh my God. Can people I know or people I don't know or like,
Anyone, super group. Like you could take the greatest musicians of all time.
okay. Oh wow. Can I just like put myself in Led Zeppelin?
Yes. So
Okay.
Robert Plant, Take a Hike.
Yeah, I'd put myself in Led Zeppelin or put myself alongside Josh and be in Queens of the Stone Age.
That'd be pretty badass in Queens of the Stone Age. The best concert I've ever seen in my life was Queens of the Stone Age opening for Nine Inch Nails, if you talk about
Oof.
great double bills. And I saw them twice, like two different festivals. I guess I'll just ask, what's the best concert you've ever seen?
So seen some good ones. But the one that I kind of hold in my mind is the best show I've ever seen. And I will acknowledge that there were maybe some chemicals in my
Yeah.
body in the form of
People
LSD.
told you the next day that you had a great time,
Yeah,
essentially.
no, I know. I remember it, but I think it was a little bit heightened. Soundgarden on the Bad Motorfinger tour at the Spectrum in Montreal. Like I was like Chris Cornell was the Messiah. He just looked like a fucking god. And the music was so powerful and loud. And that album is just so good.
And that venue is not an arena. That's like 2,000 or 3,000 people. So it's surprisingly intimate, I think.
Yeah. And I was right up front.
Does your daughter think her mom is a rock star or just some schmuck at home?
Oh, yeah. She thinks I'm cringy.
You're the queen of cringe.
I'm the
That's what
queen
she
of
thinks.
cringe. Oh, yeah. Like she won't even, she wanted me to take, she wanted me to take her to a movie theater, which is about 20 minutes from the house. And I said, okay, well, I'll just take you and you go to your movie with your friends and I'll go to a different movie. And she said, no, I'm not going to go. Like
Even in a different
I
theater.
couldn't
Wow.
even be in a different theater.
How dare you, daughter? In what way did having a daughter change you as a person?
I think you stop becoming the center of your own universe, your orbits definitely change.
Can you think of a song that you wish you wrote?
Oh my God, there's so
Just anything that comes to mind. You
many.
can
Okay, well,
blast
I
through.
just posted about this, so it's the first thing that comes to mind is I guess that's why they call it The Blues by Elton John. And I think it's a Bernie Taupin. I think so. Anyway, I just heard it like the other day and I was so blown away by it. But there's so many.
What's the biggest concert you've ever played, and what was it like to play to a crowd of that size? You mentioned you played to 30,000 people at one point. Would that be the biggest?
Probably. I mean, that's the show that Rich Beto mentioned. That was, I think, in Fort Myers, Florida, and that was a festival. That was probably like 25,000 people
And
Pretty.
what for us peasants that have never played to that many people, what's it like? You get up there, what's it like? 25,000 people. Do you
It's
have to
so
how
cool.
you perform because it's like a faceless sea of people, or
Yeah, I think it kind of gives you permission to just kind of go big, you know? Like you can be like put on the whole rock star thing. Just you just do it.
which band or musician were you the biggest fan of before sharing a bill with them? So was there anyone you were super fan of and you ended up on the same festival or opening for them?
I was a pretty Big Rec fan. I mean, I there are definitely like, you know, bands like Deftones that we played with and trying to remember. I mean, we played with a lot of bands, but definitely as a like straight up musician, I remember when that song came out. And I was just like, holy shit, that's a song. That's a song I wish I'd written.
Are there any other bands out there that our listeners should be aware of? So maybe a band you think is great that maybe isn't as big as it should be?
Well, I do think Blinker the Star is absolutely underappreciated. Oh my gosh.
I
I
wrote
mean,
down the name
I
of
don't
that
know if,
album so that I can go back and listen to it. The Blinker
yeah.
Star album you suggested.
That I'd have to think about. I'm trying to think of what I just saw the band Sylvan Esso play live and they absolutely blew me away. So they're pretty big, but I think they should be.
Are there any artists that you listen to that would shock our listeners? Like any guilty pleasures? You know, there's some great Bieber albums, there's some great Tay Tay albums, Taylor Swift. Anything you listen to that would be surprising to us.
You know, I don't put on Olivia Rodrigo on my own because my daughter plays her like pretty incessantly, but she impresses me.
Her first, not the new album that just came out, but the one before that, Sour, I thought was the
Mm.
album of the year. I thought it was up for the Grammy for best album of the year, and I thought it should have won and it didn't. But
I
that's an
think
incredible album.
the new one's really good too. Like I am super impressed by her. My guilty pleasures are more like old stuff, you know, like yacht rock stuff.
Mm. What would you change about the music industry if you had a magic wand? I know there's a lot. It could probably this
Oh
could be a
boy.
long answer, but just I guess anything that comes to you that you would change.
I mean, I just wish that um I think there are so many deserving people and acts that just don't make it. um so I wish that there was just some magical way of like, you know, the people who are really truly talented just getting their just desserts.
What are the top misconceptions that people have about musicians?
That they're lazy, that they're only in it for, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, there's truth to that, but musicians work so frigging hard at their craft and maintaining their craft. And yeah, there's just so much more that goes on behind the scenes, I think. And that maybe they're not as, you know, you don't musicians are smart people, and creative minded. There's a lot of creative minded brilliance that people probably don't recognize.
Final three rapid fire questions. If you could sit down for a conversation with anyone, who would it be?
David Bowie.
What is your biggest fear?
Dying.
That's a legit fear. What would be, speaking of dying, what would your final death row meal be? So obviously you are wrongfully accused. You find yourself on death row. You can choose a meal, a drink, a dessert. What do you choose?
So this is going to sound ridiculous. I think I would have like a giant thing of poutine, but it'd have to be like really good,
The
like from
squeaky
like
cheese
a
curds from Quebec?
yeah, like it'd have to be like authentic from like Le Petite Patate or whatever somewhere on the roadside.
Yeah, La Belle Province or one of those.
I've had
Um,
my fair share of those. Yeah.
You know what? I had so Dan Todd, the drummer for Honeymoon Suite and Platinum Blonde, his answer was a hot dog. And I was so offended. So now any answer someone gives is always better. Like the bar's been set so low with a hot dog that, his
That's
final death row
hilarious.
meal was a hot dog and like a lemonade or something. I'm like, your final death row meal, you could get at like a cheap baseball game. Like that's so heartbreaking. But
Yeah. No, I'd have poutine and a really nice glass of Cabernet Sauvignon.
That's a strange combo, but we'll let that slide. So